Welcome to Just Energy Radio with your host, naturopath and medical intuitive, Dr. Rita Louise. We have learned from Einstein's theory that matter and energy are one. Physicists believe that all systems in nature have their own particular way of vibrating. From the swinging of a pendulum to the waves of the ocean to the light that brightens the sky each day, each of these oscillates at its own unique rate. The same holds true for every thought, feeling, event, or word we speak. Each has its own frequency or rate of vibration. What many of us don't realize is when we take everything in our universe down to its simplest form, it is all just energy. Join Dr. Rita Louise on a journey through time and space where past, present, and future collide. Today, what you believe may be called into question. What we want to know is, who made up the rules? Be brave and step outside the box. We are about to turn our world upside down and venture into the unknown. Hold on. We are departing our own beliefs and entering alternative realms. Enjoy the possibilities.
Hello, and welcome to Just Energy Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show today. Well, we have some fantastic guests coming on. In the first hour, we're going to be speaking with Roger Bezanis, with Roger, talking about how to survive in a toxic world. See, he's probably laughing at me right now as I'm speaking. And in the second hour with Jean McClellan about medicine, East meets West. But I just want to remind you that Just Energy Radio is brought to you by soulhealer.com, where you can find out about all the services I offer, including medical intuition, evaluations, intuitive counseling, as well as energy work. And all of this can be done from the comfort of your own home by phone, so you don't need to live in the Dallas area to partake in the services I offer. soulhealer.com. It's also brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, where you can learn to become a medical intuitive counselor, or energy medicine practitioner. I just want to remind you that please do go to the Just Energy Radio website. That's www.justenergyradio.com, and sign up for our weekly newsletter. It keeps you informed of all the great guests that we have coming up, like Roger and Jean, that are going to be on the show today. It also has over 5 years worth of show archives, and the guests we have on today are good friends of the show, so you can hear other episodes of topics that we've had discussed on the show. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Roger, and let's get him on the air. Author, researcher, formulator, educator, and mentor, Roger Bezanis has spent the last 16 years of his life uncovering the true workings of the human body. His esoteric technique of diagnostic face reading, energy balancing technique, and amazing symptom analysis are revolutionary. When the trio are used in unison, they propel the user past all known tools available for diagnosing and healing the body. His book, Diagnostic Face Reading and the Holistic You, has become an alternative bestseller. So please welcome to Just Energy Radio, Roger Bezanis. Hey, Roger, I'm just saying your last name like in 500 different ways, so just forgive me.
Oh, it's all right, Dr. Louise. No, I do it myself. Sometimes I lecture to myself in my sleep and I mispronounce my name, and then I realize I'm sleeping and I wake myself and go, wow, I even know how to say my name. I swear. I'm not kidding. I lecture and teach so much. Sometimes I wake up after having been lecturing to myself and say, that's it. I've had enough. I know this stuff. I'm teaching myself. I'm not going to teach myself. I know the answers already. Because I'll be in the middle of Hawaii in a dream, minding my own business, and the guy comes in and says, hey, Roger, what about that, that line on my face? What's that mean? And I'll start telling him and realize I'm in a dream. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Roger, you kill me. That's why I love having you come on the show, because not only are you a really funny guy, but you know your stuff. And that's just a really powerful combination to me.
Oh, shucks. Well, it's funny. We were kind of talking last night, and I mentioned a couple of things that you liked, and I'll mention them again. See, when we think of being polluted, we
wait. Let me start with the questions. Let me start.
Oh, sorry. I get carried away.
I know you do. But
I
I've learned, Roger, I have like a little whip now. Back up.
Back up, boy. Yeah, I know. I'm good that way.
Okay, but Roger, it does seem like everything we eat these days is toxic, from the meats to the GMO crops and even the water. So here's my first question.
Yeah.
What's the impact of all of these toxins having on our bodies?
I'm so glad you asked me that. I don't get asked that nearly enough. I'm serious. I don't. See, here's what we don't get. Now, if we looked at a pH scale, we would see a top and a bottom, or a left and a right. I like to look at it top and bottom. Or, well, anyway, I like top and bottom. It's much more fun to me than left and right. Okay, it's true. I just like it that way. So the bottom portion of the pH scale is or are acids, amino acids, and or processed acids. So it's all acid down there, and that's what life is. Now, except for the exception of, that's redundant, I know, of processed acids. Now, what's the importance of an acid? Well, an acid or amino acid is a protein. So when we look at the pH scale below 7, what we're looking at is life. That's what's down there is life. With regards to the exceptions of, say, processed vinegar, because you can't get vinegar any other way. You process grapes or olives or whatever it might be, and you can create a vinegar. Well, that's now dead for all intent and purposes. You can't pour vinegar in the ground and grow a bottle of vinegar. But you could take an apple seed or an orange seed, something that still holds the amino acids, still holds the proteins, still holds the acids, if you will, plant it and grow something. But once it's cooked or processed, you can't. So what we do is we're literally taking in material that's either of a raw nature, whole raw foods, which I'm a whole food raw foodist and an advocate thereof.
We'll get into that a little bit later in more detail.
Yeah, okay. We either take that into our system or we take something else in. Some material that via cooking has become a metallic-like, I know that sounds bizarre, but more of a chemical substance. They're all chemicals. It's whether they're concentrated or not. Any chef will tell you that when we cook something, we do a number of things. We brighten the color, which comes out. We intensify the flavor. It's because we're concentrating it. Now, the concentrates are now new chemicals, which have medicinal properties. Ignoring that, we ingest them, and now they act like magnets in the system. In other words, the liver is the linchpin of our immune system, and it has to interface with everything that comes into the system, good or bad. Now, it only has so much capacity. When it gets to the point where it can't process more, the body goes into phase 2, if you will. That's just a made-up term. I'm the only one using it, really, of capturing the toxins at a cellular level. In other words, if the body's not able to process, the liver's not able to process the poisons that come in, what's the body to do? What's the body to do? What happens is the cells now capture the toxins going by. Some people like to call those toxins going by free radicals. That's just another name for toxins. The cells grab them, hold them, and now the mitochondria, or the energy part of the cell, is dormant, no longer to be used. The cell is now converted from being an energy cell to a jail cell. These cells now have an extended lifespan. What was going to be a few months or a year was now going to be 5, 6, 7 years or months, X amount of whatever. When they finally collapse, the cells around them pick them up, and now we have tumors. So I hope that answers that question in a little bit of detail, but that's what's making us ill. We're constantly ingesting toxicity.
But it tastes so good.
Oh, I know. Well, you know what's really neat, and this will be short. Check this out. In nature uses bright colors to warn us and say, don't eat that, don't touch that, that's dangerous. Even ladybugs, who are brightly colored, are toxic to some bugs, other bugs that would eat them or try to ingest them. Not to humans, but then again, we usually don't eat ladybugs. But the point is, bright colors are to warn So the chef who's making the presentation that much better by blanching the food kills it, because you don't blanch, you cook, but briefly, you kill it, and it's so brightly colored. That's supposed to be a warning. It's always been a warning. We just like looking at it, though, and you're right. We love that intensified flavor. Good.
But even if you're talking about green beans, I mean, there's a world of difference from green beans to McDonald's or Pop-Tarts or, Fruit Loop cereal that are part of a better breakfast.
Well, it's all gradients of toxicity.
Well, that's what they say.
Well, it's true. It's all gradients of toxicity. Here's something you've never heard, and if you have, I want to know who you've been talking to. If you look at food, raw food, uncooked, and that doesn't mean raw oatmeal. Raw oatmeal isn't raw. It's processed. It had to be processed to become oatmeal. There's no such thing as raw oatmeal. Anyone telling me there is, I'll slap them lightly. Okay, now going back to raw fruit and vegetables, so that's what I'm talking about. Raw fruit and vegetables, like anything, can be deadly in enough volume. But the difference between raw apples and, say, cocaine is the intensity, the amount, the concentration, if you will. No, that sounds funny. I know. It's true,
No,
though.
I'm just laughing because cocaine seems like it would be just way more fun than
Oh. I'm coming. I said I'm coming to Dallas, Dr. Rita Louise. I'm coming out tonight. Now, here, check this out. Now, it takes 7,500, I love saying that, 7,500 pounds of coca leaves, not cocoa leaves, coca leaves, to give us 2.5 pounds of cocaine. Really. So you can go down to Colombia and all through South America where you can find coca leaves, primarily in Colombia, and they're used in religious rites. You can chew your coca leaves all you want, and you're going to get a really big buzz. Are you going to get burnt on cocaine? No. You'll get a buzz. You'll get, wow, that was like strong coffee. And if you chew them a long time, you'll rot your teeth. But, that means years. But the point is, you could chew and chew all the leaves you want. What's the worst thing that's going to happen in a day? Maybe you vomit. You get sick. Now, if you had a gram of cocaine versus 20 pounds of leaves that you chewed that day, it would kill you, more than likely. But 20 pounds of leaves, maybe it makes you really kind of, I feel terrible. All right, big difference. It's concentration. Here's the lower end of life, the life part of life, if you will. Raw foods. Raw foods, it would take a lot of raw foods to kill you. Then the next step away from raw foods up into the medicinal chart or the medicinal realm is herbs. You've dried them. You've now lost the enzymes. They will never replicate again. You can't take any herbal formula you've ever bought, pour them in the ground, and grow another bottle. Doesn't happen. Okay, so we go from raw food to herbs to homeopathy. No, skipped one in between. You go to cooked food. Cooked food is a little more concentrated than herbs, and depending on how you cook it or how long, can be a lot more concentrated. Mom's chicken soup really was medicinal. Then you come to homeopathy, even more concentrated than and more medicinal than cooked food. Then you come to drugs, and finally you come to chemotherapy, which you just have to scratch your head and go, what were they thinking? And all of these, believe it or not, even chemotherapy has the power to not heal, because they don't. They offend the immune system if it's there to be offended, and the immune system waking up out of a deep sleep says, uh-oh, what the heck is that? The drug, the chemotherapy, the cooked food, whatever, and then starts healing. The question is, what if you're always medicating yourself with cooked food? And you've seen the answers. Some people just can't stop putting on weight, and those people are called obese in some part of the country. There's 3 to 4 people are obese now. So we medicate ourselves continually, and we get the results of continual medication. And I'm about to shut up, I apologize. And whereas some people might go a whole week, and the only real food they had was the tomato on their hamburger that they had 3 times, and the lettuce that was perfunctorily stuck in there too, and occasionally a raw onion or two. But I've met people who've never been to a produce section in a grocery store, don't know what a farmer's market is.
You'll like this one.
Yes.
So my son was dating a girl, and we met her parents, and she was bragging that she ate a vegetable at our house. And I'm thinking, well, what did you eat at our house? Because we always had vegetables, with our meals. And I'm trying to think, okay, well, what was that? Because we didn't have, like broccoli or cauliflower or anything. I go, well, what did we eat that night? And she goes, well, you had Chinese food. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess we had some fried rice that night. And so I'm like, and now I'm really going on thinking, what vegetable could she possibly be talking about in some fried rice? She goes, there were peas.
Oh, boy.
She ate a vegetable. I'm like, oh, my God.
But it wasn't raw, and so I just, oh, boy. What happened to this girl?
I don't know. They broke up.
Oh, well.
But she her and her family all had some weight issues going on. So,
it figures.
Whatever.
Oh, this is just tragic. I'm so depressed now.
And we're going to come back to the raw vegetable thing because I have some questions because, I'm not even there. I mean, I eat my salads and I try to get raw in every day, but it sounds like you have taken it to a totally different level, and I want to come back to that to just, get more information.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still in the cooked food area.
I know. It's okay.
But there are a lot of people that okay, so obviously raw is best. Lightly cooked is better, or, next.
No, actually, lightly cooked is still dead, but it's better than, say, drugs.
Right. No. But follow my scale here.
I'm with you. I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm going.
Okay. But then would be frozen.
Oh gosh, yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then would be our canned puppies.
Ugh,
all right. Now
I don't
this
even
is
know
the
what
question.
that stuff is.
I know, and I know, but we're talking to a large audience, and we're
You're right. I
information.
sound like an alien. I forgot. I'm an alien with this kind of talk. What am I thinking?
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
And so
okay,
here's the question. Here's the question.
Yeah.
How do I phrase this? So let's say this is kind of like a really backward question. Let's say the choice is to eat some canned green beans versus not eat any vegetable matter at all. Would you opt for no green beans, or would you incorporate them even though any kind of nutritional value would be minimal, if any?
Well, it'd be if any, and it's kind of the choice between, would you hit yourself with a frying pan on the right side of your head or the left side of your head? Either way, you're getting banged. Yishkabar. Here's a question I might ask myself if I was going to ask myself questions, and if I could, I would, but since I usually don't, I don't know. What if somebody was a cooked food person, like most people are, and was sick and tired of being sick and tired? That's the key. If you're not sick and tired of being sick and tired, my words are pointless, and I really mean that. If you're happy with the way things are, don't change, because there's no reason to change, and there's nothing I can say that would make that happen. So, but if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you want to step in the right directions, start incorporating some raw foods, apples, oranges, tangerines, grapes, broccoli, raw, all raw, not cooked, not canned, not frozen, not blanched, not even warmed, on a daily basis, with your intent on over 6 months, if that's what you'd like to make your target, of being fully raw. Now, you don't do this unless you decide you want to and you're willing to pay attention to your body, because when you do, you'll notice that, that's weird. My shoulders don't hurt anymore. My knees stopped hurting, and they told me I had arthritis. I've worked with more people who think they have gout and fibromyalgia and arthritis and hoinky-boinky disease that I just made up. And once they learn that disease is just an accumulation of toxins that some doctor or group of doctors came along and then named with a name, like, here's a bunch of symptoms. I don't know, let's call it blank. And now we have lupus, or we have fibromyalgia, which if you check the symptoms against the name, you'll find out it's basically the same. And it's handled the same way. You clean up the diet. Clean up the diet. So if someone wants to make changes, they're going to want to. It's got to be because they can't live with it anymore. That's what I did. I couldn't stand it. You know what I did? A lot of people will relate to this. I was like everybody else, eating the same wonderfully delicious cooked food, processed food, lots of candy, whatever diet. And I would sit there and have my bread and before a meal or at a meal, and I'd have a sugar high, and I was aware of the sugar high, going, oh, this feels good. And 20 minutes later, I was like, I'm sleeping. I would fall asleep. Now, by the way, that's why most people collapse and take a nap after a meal. It's because the body's overwhelmed. So I couldn't deal with it anymore, because what would happen hours later is I had acid reflux, acid indigestion, which is my body still rejecting that meal, which is sitting in the base of my stomach, molding. Literally, it's compounding, and the pyloric valve, which connects the stomach to the small intestine, is saying, I'm not going to open. I'm not going to open. No, I'm not going to open.
Hell no, you won't go.
That's right. And so I've got cramping and pain and agony. And anyway, I was sick and tired of that. And that's why I started making changes. And when I did, I dropped from 225 pounds down to 164. And you can see those pictures. They're all over my website, which is rogerbezanis.com. And Roger's kind of easy, R-O-G-E-R. And the last name is spelled B like boy, E, Z like zebra, A like apple, N like Nancy, I like Iris, S like Sam.com. And we'll spell it again later. It's a rough name. What? Well, people want to look at pictures. They do. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. But
and
anyway.
see, when we were talking the other day, it's like, I didn't realize that you were into this whole raw food thing, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. But it sounds like this is actually kind of a new thing for you also.
Oh, no, I just didn't tell you. I've been doing it since 1997. No, in 1997, I became a raw food, just kind of playing with it, and I couldn't believe what came out of my body. You do. Here's the news. I'd read The Sugar Blues by William Duffy, and I read, and I was like, The Sugar Blues are the last thing I wanted to read, because I wanted my sugar. I wanted my candy. I didn't want to give it up. And I knew if I read this book, I was ruined. And sure enough, that little wiener, I was right about him. He ruined my life. So I couldn't do it anymore. And well, so then I finally did the next thing, is I read a book on raw food, very famous one, called Nature's First Law, the Raw Food, Nature's First Law, the Raw Food something, and by David Wolfe. And I was further ruined. And then I read a book by Dr. Ted Morter out of Texas called something, name it that escapes me, who gave me the medical version of what David Wolfe said. And I was done. It's like I didn't have a choice. I had to change, and I did. And my weight fell off so quick. It was insane. And then only recently, in the last, say, 5-6 years, I've become a whole food raw foodist, where nothing enters my body I lied, I occasionally have some salad dressing, but other than that, nothing enters my body that isn't whole. In other words, a whole orange, a whole tangerine. I lied again. Occasionally I'll have tangerine juice that I'll squeeze or orange juice that I'll squeeze. That's not whole. It's juice. But otherwise I'm having whole fruit and vegetables. If it has to be cooked, warmed, not eating it. I don't have grains. I don't have any breads, pasta, cakes, none of that. No. And believe it or not, the world is sweet. In other words, raw foods are sickeningly, not quite, but they're really sweet. We're just, our taste buds are muted by this other diet. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
No, and I totally agree. One of the things that I think most people experience when they try to change their diet, maybe not to a raw food diet, but a less toxic diet, where they're eating more fruits and vegetables and cooking their own food. They're not eating, frozen TV dinners or going to McDonald's or doing those kind of things.
Yeah.
The first thing they comment on, well, it doesn't taste good, or, it is, there's something about the taste that is not appealing to them. But what I have found, myself and working with people, once they kind of get through this period, and I'm going to say my kids, when they're my stepkids, and when I first started cooking for them, it was kind of like we had salad dressing, and we had a couple of little convenience items, for those quickie dinners, but pretty much everything was cooked fresh that day. And they were like, well, this doesn't taste right. This doesn't taste any good. Well, then after, them being on that diet for a while, you'd cough up some fast food or, some nasty thing because it was easy. And and they're like, ew, this is really salty.
Exactly
or,
right.
Ew, blah, 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 blah. And their taste buds change, their ability to taste the real taste of the food finally came through, which I think is weird to most people.
Exactly. It's shocking what the body goes through. I mean, the reason we don't detect that salt is actually really salty and that sugar literally makes your jaw go is because we are so numb to it, we don't detect it. And we're so numb that sometimes we lose pain sensation. I mean, it's just pervasive through our system what happens to us. And the bad news is, as the body gets more numb, the immune system gets weaker and weaker. And I mentioned earlier in my dissertation that it's put to sleep, and it truly is. And unless something awakens it dramatically, then we may start growing things. And it's scary what happens. And there's one other point on this immune system thing I'm talking about, that imagine we do this, and we all did this, at least your generation and my generation, Dr. Louise, we did this, and I think it's still, in fact, I know it's still happening. So in the 60s when I grew up, my mom said, oh, you have a cold? Well, take some Dristan or take some aspirin, and that's what we did. We had the idea, we were trained that the immune system is stupid. We don't even know what it does, and it's probably superfluous to life, which means more than needed. You don't need one. So therefore, you medicate at every turn. Well, here's what happens. That's like me picking up you, Dr. Rita Louise, and saying, look, I'm going to get you ready for that marathon. I'm going to carry you around on my shoulders. I'm going to carry you around. I'm going to save your legs. I'm going to make your legs so strong. And I carry you around and carry you around and carry you around and carry you around for 4 or 5 months. And then I put you down and let you walk. And you don't take a step. Your legs have atrophied. The muscles are gone. You crumple like a sack of potatoes. And that's what happens to our immune system unless we let it operate and stop medicating it, because its job is to do that job. What we need to do is pepper it every now and then and let it do its job. We don't need herbals. Look, I know the greatest herbals on the planet. We really don't need them if
Okay, so I just lost Roger, so let's try this again. Hopefully I'm still here.
Hello, Dr. Louise. We lost ourselves.
Hey,
what was the last thing I said before I lost myself?
Well, you were talking about getting carried around for the marathon and
we missed everything
not needing herbals.
After?
Okay, but I just have one comment about your carried around for the marathon.
Yeah.
So while you're carrying me around, are you going to feed me grapes and fan me and keep the fly?
I could. but we did get to the point where you crumpled like a sack of potatoes, right?
Yeah, you got to the part where we don't even need herbals.
Yeah, we really don't. I mean, we just need to feed ourselves right, and we're far from doing it. But more and more people are ready to do it. And I hate to say it, but there's a big chasm, a big divide between the right and the left on this. There's no real middle ground. There just isn't. You're either over there or you're over here. And those who are doing the raw are growing, but the people on the right who are still eating all the things, they're growing too. They're growing extra this and extra that and getting bigger. It's not fun. Look around on the streets. It's
I don't disagree.
Scary. It's scary out there.
See, this is a me question.
Yeah.
When you talk about eating the raw food, I really have this thing about having hot food, and especially in the winter. I have this. It's kind of like the thought of eating, having a salad with my dinner or, having some stuff I can wrap my mind around, you know, my temperament, because I'm kind of an icy temperament. So how do you get around that? You're a guy, so it might be different. I don't know. But it just really kind of hangs me up, the thought of, like, eating cold stuff.
Well, it's room temperature. What you do is you let it get room temperature, and you'll be surprised because, see, what we call food, it's commonly called food, not only attacks our body, it warps our emotions, changes the way we think, no kidding, and makes us inclined to want things. These are called addictions. And, you know, we look at someone who's a heroin addict or a cocaine addict, and we kind of turn our noses up and think, oh, lower beings. Not at all. They may be over there, but they're not lower beings. All of us, every one of us on the planet have two addictions, I guarantee it, two: sugar, white sugar, and salt. We cannot or do not want to live without them. Of course we can. I'm saltless over here. Hello, I'm saltless. And I'm sugarless, although I'm very sweet. No, I'm, it's true. So the point is that once we clean out, what we think we need and what we need line up. And we have no problem.
What about proteins, though?
You're getting them. All amino acids, all acids, all enzymes are proteins. So you can have avocado. What is it? 4 avocado? No, it's like 1 avocado has about, if I remember right, 4 grams of protein. That's a ton. We are protein crazy in this country for one big reason. The American Dairy Board, protein. The American Beef Board, protein. The American Chicken Board, protein. The fish people, protein. It's all protein. They're selling us protein, so we think we got to have it. And then for a long time, we had the protein. Yeah, it was the pyramid, the nutritional pyramid, which was just a joke. Now I think we have a pie system, and I think on it is pizza. I can't remember, but it's just. I'm not kidding. This is not made up stuff. You know, it's absolutely crazy out there. But yeah, going to re-answering your question, we're getting all the protein we need. There's protein in everything. Yeah, sure there is. And nobody said, including little old me, that you couldn't have some steak tartare, or you know what that is? It's raw sliced steak, thinly sliced steak.
Ooh, feel like sushi, huh?
If you've read my article on RogerBezanis.com, whose name I will not spell, it's called "The Crimes Against the Sea: Mankind in Trouble." You honestly will never eat sushi again. If you consider that it's wise to eat fish that are growing 2 heads, and wise to eat fish that now have no eyes, and wise to eat fish that are changing sex. They didn't get sex change operations. The chemicals have done it. And you say, oh, well, it's got to be the certain river. No, they're finding it in streams in the United States. They're everywhere. It's not anywhere. It's everywhere. Oh, by the way, in the Gulf, where now it's all clean and safe to eat from, no.
Right.
They're finding shrimp with no eyes. Well, let's have some more. At least they're easier to catch. They can't even see us now.
Well, and that brings me to a totally kind of different topic that I wanted to bring up, talking about water. You know, I've heard that our water systems and the water that we drink, that we're actually being drugged by it. You know, that it's laced with not only oil from the Gulf, but dissolved pharmaceuticals like antibiotics and antidepressants. Is that true?
Well, not only is that true, but it's called. If you look up the Pacific Gyre, I always want to misspell this. It's G-E-Y-E-R. Pretty simple. A gyre is a collection of waste floating in the ocean that has collected in an area where there's no circulation, believe it or not, no air really moving across, no water movement. It's called a gyre. And they're so thick in some places you can walk on them. In the Pacific Gyre, the Navy won't even go through it. It's miles of massive plastic and undigestibles. Okay, as far as what's in the water, everything we've dumped into the water is still there. There's no filtering system in the water. We didn't put them there. So if we're going to drink water, we either want to drink spring water that's been filtered, hopefully, because spring water is just about as bad as everything else now, so it's got to be filtered, and of course they always do, and or reverse osmosis water. That's water. That's heavily filtered, leaving some minerals behind. You never want distilled water where it's been boiled and then recaptured in the next chamber over here and all the minerals are lost in the chamber that was boiled. Never want that. That'll deplete your system. And the last thing you don't want is what's now leaving North America thanks to my book pH Madness, alkaline or ionized water. Absolutely deadly stuff. It's a drug. In Japan in 1965, the Japanese invented it. They found a way to split water and make it 2 molecules versus 3. Well, if you know your chemistry, you know 2 molecules OH is never water. Water is H2O, 3 molecules, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. Well, they made it as a drug, and that's what it was, a drug, meant to be used as a drug. Well, they brought it to this country and told us it was water. Oh, boy. And we started drinking it, and there's comas and strokes. And I know a woman who had a coma and a stroke and then gave up her machine and sent it back and wanted her money back and tried to sue and boy. Anyway, yeah, you don't want alkalized or ionized water. You don't want tap either. Tap water, you know why your tap water flows through your tap? It's because at the treatment plant, they treat it with a number of chemicals, which keeps your pipes clean so that the city can keep flowing water to people. In other words, it eats away the gunk on the inside of the pipe. Well, I certainly want to drink that. That sounds good to me. Yeah, I want to drink solvent. No. Anyway, yeah, the water we drink should be filtered, heavily filtered. Absolutely.
And does that filtering get rid of, I mean, what I had heard was that, we're all basically on antidepressants because it's in the water.
Well, if we're drinking it where it's not filtered, yeah. If you went to, dropping a name, Fred Van Loo's company, he's in Richardson, Texas.
Hey,
Water and Air.
I live there.
Hello. Well, you know him. You know Fred, don't you? You don't know Fred?
Actually.
Oh, my gosh, you don't know.
Up.
Oh, Fred Van Loo, Water and Air Essentials. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. He's a salesman, but let me tell you, he knows his stuff. He's called the Water Doctor. He will get you a reverse osmosis system, a whole house system. He knows his stuff inside and out. The guy is practically a reverend of water. He's like the godfather of water. This man knows more about water than most people have ever known, and he's forgotten a lot of it. It's absolutely, he's a resource you want to have, and he's right in Richardson, Texas. Yeah, he was in Dallas for a long time, and I think they put down a border one day and said, no, this is Richardson or something, because I don't think he moved, or if he moved, it wasn't far, so he's in Richardson now. And
Richardson's a suburb and part of Dallas County.
Oh, I understand. When did it come into being? Has it always been there?
It's been there. It's old. It's not a new city.
Okay. Well, I have an interesting story one day I'll tell you off the air on how Beverly Hills became Century City and how the street Beverly Glen has significance. But that's another story for another time. But anyway.
That's right.
I'm full of stories.
There's been kind of some comments in the chat room about the concept of eating raw food and the digestibility or issues around digestibility, which I'm sure you've heard. And can you speak on that a little bit?
Sure,
why people have problems with that?
Yeah, they listen to people who tell them they can't digest raw foods. That's pretty much it. That's really it. If the rule is, if you can't eat it without cooking it, you're not supposed to eat it. So, pretty simple. So, and the thing is, if you can't eat raw food, there's something in the way. It's called toxicity. So what you do is you put yourself on a good 3-month detox, your choice which one you get. There's a lot of them, a lot of companies out there that make remarkable formulas. Get one and do it for the full 3 months. It's better if it's a 2-part formula, one for the body and one for the digestive tract and colon, so that you break up waste throughout the system with one formula and the other just moves it out. So you do this for 3 months, twice a day, 3 times a day, 6 days a week for 3 months. Sure, you can do a parasite cleanse if you want to, but you break up all that waste. And then you go have some raw foods again and find out, well, that's funny. I can eat grapes or oranges and apples and things I thought I couldn't. Here's the insanity behind part of your question. There are doctors out there who have had zero training in nutrition, but that doesn't stop them giving nutritional advice. No. They think of white sugar as the same, which is processed, or brown sugar, which is processed, or molasses, you get it, as the same as fruit sugar from a piece of orange that you eat raw. That's about as different as the moon from the earth. I mean, really. So one is fully vested with life, and one is completely dead and has nothing to do other than, if it's ingested, will absolutely race the body. In fact, here's a statement I haven't made in a long time. Here's how powerful sugar is. White sugar, it's known to suppress the immune system for up to 8 hours by up to 95% every time we have it. And if we're living on it, bye-bye immune system. Take a nap. Just take a holiday. Don't worry, I'm going to have some more tomorrow, too. Just keep going. In fact, it's the holidays. I am not going to eat any real food until January, and it's October. So, by the way, that's something fun to bring up. How do we start the holidays? Why do people get sick? Well, it starts with October 31st. I think that's called Halloween. And that's the day devoted to just eating nothing but sugar. And then you look at our holidays. We celebrate by beating ourselves over the head with a frying pan called sugar. Easter, birthdays, anniversaries. Let's have some wine and some cake. Or, and so wine turns to sugar, and the cake is already sugar. I don't know. Let's have a tortilla, too. Oh, my gosh. What
so
we
you're
do
including all carbs into that sugar, not just,
if
a
you
candy
want to
bar or sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's why I told you bread converts to sugar within a few moments, and you get a sugar high, and then you collapse, and then you fall asleep. It's deadly stuff. Ever notice when you eat and your belt starts to swell? Well, your belt doesn't swell. You have to undo it so you can actually live in your clothes. That's your body swelling due to the yeast, due to the sugar. It wasn't because you were so full. If you've noticed, you can have a bite or two of bread and you start swelling. Hey, my hands are all swollen. Why is that? Well, your body is reacting and saying, I don't know what that is. In fact, think of your body this way. Oh, you're going to love this. Oh, boy. We live on a planet that's 24 hours in length. That's the day. Do we agree on that? Is there anybody out there who doesn't agree? Okay, okay. So think about this. If we don't digest our meals within 24 hours, we're now adding them to the storehouse of our body called fat. So think of your body as a warehouse business. You get your orders in, you open the boxes, you figure out what it is, you sort it, you pack it up again, and then ship it out. It takes about 4 hours to process an order. You have a warehouse business that's open from 9 a.m. till 5. So if you have that business, and that's the way the body runs, by the way, when do you want your orders in to get your orders out the same day?
In the morning.
So in the morning. The latest you want to go is 1 o'clock. Oddly enough, that's the cutoff time when you want to cut off all your major meals. I know people are laughing right now. Somebody just choked on his hamburger. Another guy probably went off the road in a ditch, and he's thinking, what? That's impossible. No, it's not impossible. I teach it. I preach it. I live it. It works. In other words, it's the way the body was built. The only meal we had for the first 3,000, no, that's not right, but the oldest word for meal is dinner. 3,000 years old, actually 3,800 years old. Dinner. It meant break the fast. Hunter-gatherers, that's what they did. They gathered food to eat it in the morning so they could go out and do it all again. We're still built the same way. By the way, we ended up getting lunch. Well, that was the third meal. Dinner actually became dinner, and breakfast was invented 800 years later. No, more than that. About 2,000 years later. That's when we get dinner. And then lunch was invented, I think, 360 years ago. Our meals are based on commerce, not health. We're literally built to eat in the morning, cut off about 1:30, 1 o'clock, and then eat fruit, juicy fruit, oranges, tangerine, grapes the rest of the day. You do that, you'll lose weight. Will you starve? No. Your body will get to a point where it's happy, and you'll lose no more weight than that. You'll get down to where you should be. I'm 52 years old and 16% body fat. I have practically no gray hair. As you can tell, I have no energy. I get up every day at 4. I get up every day, 5 days a week, and write a class on Twitter. And if you're listening, look me up on Twitter, Roger Bezanis, and get on my Twitter class. I teach health every day. On the weekends, I get to sleep until 5 and do the same thing. So from 5 to 7 on the weekends or 4 to 6 during the week, I teach people how to be healthy. I am worthless, obviously, no energy, no spunk. My skin is baby soft, literally. By the way, you know how my hair became less white than it used to be? It was about 20% white. Well, a year ago in January, I didn't. Was
hair color?
Yeah, no. I decided to give up salt. I was about 20% gray, and I gave up salt. I just said that's it. That's the last bastion of insanity I'm dealing with. I'm not going to do it anymore. It's affecting my heart. I can't do this. By the way, every cardiologist on the planet says don't have salt. Cardiologist, heart doctor, don't have salt. The message should be heard by everybody. Don't have salt. Ever. It kills us. But anyway, I gave up salt. Within 7 weeks, people said, are you dyeing your hair? I said, no. I looked in the mirror.
I only wish that would happen to me.
Well, do this.
I don't like salt. People complain to me because everything that I make has no salt.
Well, do you have it anywhere in your life? Because I don't. But the point is, 7 weeks after I made this change. Well, okay, don't do that. Every 7 weeks later, seriously, 7 weeks later, my hair was down to about 2%, 3%, maybe 5% right there. And it's lingering right there. Just because, and that's the only thing I changed. So, yes, salt is deadly. It strangles the kidneys, attacks the liver, ruins the pancreas. I mean, it does a number on us. It's horrible, evil stuff. Not something you want to be involved in, but we're all addicted to it just like sugar. Sad to say, but true. Oh. By the way, guess what the third biggest addiction on the planet is? What do you think it is? What do you think? What's your guess? Behind sugar and salt, which are 1 and 2, actually tied for first. So what's number 2?
Internet. No.
No. Well, that's big, but no.
Radio shows like this. No.
What do you drink? What do people line up to drink every day?
Soda.
Coffee.
Caffeine
is
coffee.
Yep, fast approaching the number 1 and 2 slot, and it'll never get there. Sugar and salt are everywhere. How do you know this? Go to a restaurant. They're right there on your restaurant table. We like our addictions close at hand. The biggest businesses on the planet, sugar and salt. By the way, just talking about big businesses because it's so fun, and the big businesses, salt and sugar, feed this other business called modern medicine. In 1980, modern medicine, you know, the modern poisoning insanity people that want to cut you open and do surgery on you and give you drugs to make you sicker. The modern medicine people, you know, that's how they treat
those
people.
Guys.
They don't cure anything. They just manage. They don't believe in curing. They won't even use the word. They want to manage you because then you come back like people coming back to a restaurant for another burger. So in 1980, modern medicine, as per the Kaiser people, the hospital people,
Mm-hmm.
They made $5.6 billion in sales. I'm about to contradict myself because I got the numbers right here and I just misquoted. It is right here. Okay, 1980, I had it wrong. $2.3 billion in sales. 1990, $7.4 billion in sales. In 2008, of drugs, surgery, and then drug surgery and rehab. In 2008, it was $2.3 trillion.
Holy crap!
Yeah, there's a spike there. Well, by the way, if you didn't know, we're each, last time I added it up, worth $34 million. We have a dollar sign over our head. We're worth $34 million, each of us, if we're sick. If in a lifetime we received all the drugs, surgery, other medications, rehab, that's possible to get in a lifetime. 34 million. So every day it gets a little bigger. Every day it gets a little bigger. And I made those calculations. Those are about a year and a half old. So we're probably closer to 36 million now, maybe a little more.
Let me ask one last question. We have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
because you talked a little earlier about detoxing and just buying a detox package and doing it for 3 months, which I think everybody should do.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've observed in my work as a medical intuitive is that sometimes the toxins in people's bodies don't sit in the organs. It sits in the muscle and fatty tissue. And
that's a great
my
point.
feeling is that, you know, doing a liver or kidney flush doesn't really attack where the toxins are sitting. And so are there other things that we can do to kind of shake those toxins loose so that it can get to the liver and kidneys and be eliminated?
Well, yeah, there's 2 ways to detox, which I'll explain in a minute. Well, there's more than that. We can diet, we can exercise, or we can do a detox, or we can do all 3, because all 3 of them detox the body, right? Diet makes fat break down. That's where the toxins are held. Now, getting to the other part of what I just said, there's 2 ways to detox. You either detox from inside out. You do that by enabling the liver, the kidney, the spleen, lymphatic system to run better, so you feed them herbs and or foods, ideally foods, that support the structure and function of those organs, and they then invite the toxins out of the fatty tissue to be broken down. That's one way of doing it. You never hear it explained that way, but that's one way. The other way is you're using scrubbing herbs that, sure, they aid the liver and kidney and so forth, but they scrub the fatty tissue, muscle tissue, and connective tissue, releasing this waste so it's moved out of that area down to the liver and kidney for processing and then kicked out of the system. So you either have a scrubbing product or that works outside in, or one that works inside out, you know, organs to the fatty tissue, or you have a little of both. If you're doing detox at all, whether it's exercise, diet, or detox, or all 3, you're benefiting yourself. Absolutely benefiting yourself.
What do you mean by the scrubbing product?
Well, in other words, there are certain herbs, like cayenne, for example, that open up circulation through the entire system. It's going to start breaking down fat. Wasabi japonica is another one. Wasabi. Another one is niacin. That's a vitamin, but niacin, oh boy, that stuff you got to be careful of. Not that it's going to harm you, but you'll be on fire with niacin. You could have you can have a sunburn and take niacin, and you'll have that sunburn again for about 20 minutes. And it might have been a sunburn you had years ago because it's moving radiation out of your system. No joke. People who've been exposed to heavy amounts of radiation use niacin, and eventually it's not showing up in the system anymore. I mean the radiation. Oh, niacin. Oh, my gosh. Now there's going to be a flood of people going to their health food store. I need niacin. Roger said I need niacin. Niacin, vitamin
Well, you
D3.
know, with what was going on in Japan, maybe niacin's not such a bad thing to put in the back of your mind in case you're worried about radiation exposure.
Exactly right. You betcha. Oh, niacin is amazing. And it's a nervine.
But isn't there a specific kind of niacin, like not niaminocide? You have to get like.
I'm so glad you said
niacin.
That. Well, yeah. So niacin itself is incredibly healing. It's amazing stuff. But then came along chemistry and modern medicine who said, let's make it into something else. Let's call it niacinamide, which they take all the attributes out of the niacin and make it worthless. Niacinamide does nothing. It's kaput. Don't use it. You'll never know you took it. Use niacin. Niacin, that's what you want. Yeah, that is amazing stuff. And it's also a nervine. It calms down the emotions. Maybe I could use some. No, it calms down the emotions, and you become more relaxed. But I believe if you get above 18,000 milligrams, you'll be wired. And I know this because in college I did that, not knowing why. I didn't know it would do that, and I couldn't figure out why didn't I sleep for 5 days. And it turns out I ran out of niacin. That's why I finally slept. I could have killed myself. Obviously I didn't. I don't think I'm dead. Am I dead? No, I don't seem to be dead. So, niacin is remarkable. Yeah, good friend of the body.
Good. Good. So it sounds like these scrubbing ones are really working at stimulating circulation. You know,
absolutely.
You mentioned the cayenne, probably like cinnamon or ginger, things that are very activating kind of.
Garlic,
herbs.
Onions, radishes, all these. You betcha. You can go to your garden and pick your medicines. Really, that's what they did. The old time medicine woman.
No, gardens are illegal now.
Oh, I forgot that. That's right. Yeah, they all have to be paved over. and made into parking lots. I forgot that part. But, we know if we can heal ourselves if we choose. But you remember, if you're not sick and tired of being tired and sick, you're just not sick and tired and sick enough. And, keep working at it. You can get there. I'm sorry, tongue in cheek, moving tongue out of cheek.
But
now.
I think, and I want to just make this one last comment and then give you a couple of minutes to talk about your class and stuff you have coming up. But I think if people kind of look at this as, do one thing a day, incorporate a piece of fruit and do that for a while, and then incorporate a salad, or have one day where you just eat all raw. It doesn't, a lot of people go, well, it has to be cold turkey, and it's not. It's a lifestyle change. And when we do those kind of changes, sometimes we have to give ourselves time to incorporate it so it can be part of our life and not something, I have to do this, which nobody ever complies with that for a long term.
I know. It's so true. We have to just make a change. When we make a change, then there's another change. But it starts with step one. You got to make that step.
Yeah. Okay. So talk a little bit about your Twitter classes and anything else juicy you got going on that you want to let the people know about.
Well, at this moment, I'm about to break 100,000 followers on Twitter, and the FDA, AMA, Big Pharma, they hate my guts. They want me dead. And I just keep teaching. So I tell the truth every day. It's free. Roger Bezanis. Just look up, get on Twitter, Roger Bezanis, and you'll be floored. So you can also go to rogerbezanis.com if you want to be educated. And it's literally like going to a college, a free college. Sure, you can buy different things. There are my books like Diagnostic Face Reading and Holistic Healing. And if you don't have it, you better get it. It'll only change your life and save it. pH Madness, that's another remarkable book you need. So go there. Oh, you know what? It was fun. Do this. Oh, Dr. Rita Louise, in front of your computer right now. You want to read your own face? Go to rogerbezanis.com, and you can learn face reading. It's right there. You'll be able to read your own face and find out where all your organs are. Go to rogerbezanis.com, rogerbezanis.com, and go on the left-hand side. There's these buttons there, and go down to the face reading map. Click on it. There's a woman who'll be staring back at you. Run your cursor over her face. It lights up. It tells you, oh, there's the kidneys. Oh, there's the liver. Oh, there's the this. And it gives you the rules of face reading over on the right. You can start to learn face reading. And when you're ready, get my book, and that teaches you all of it. And soon on my website is the professional face reading course for people who are wanting to go into the business of reading faces and actually learn it. You can even have me do your face. What's that mean? You can send me your pictures, and I will do an entire face reading on you at distance. It's not being a medical intuitive. Your answers are right there on your face. It's a roadmap. So I send you back an elaborate write-up of what's there, and you read it and go, how did he know? How did he know? How did he know? It's simple when you know what you're doing, and I do. I've been doing this for years. So rogerbezanis.com. Go there. You will be shocked at what's there. And you can, there's shocked. And the article you want to read, there's a lot of them. You want to read Crimes Against the Sea, Mankind in Trouble. It'll make your hair stand up. Here's another thing that'll make your hair stand up. How many of you, raise your hands, think milk thistle is the best thing in the world for liver? Guess what? It's not. It's nowhere close. It causes more problems than it actually helps. You want to read the article, Milk Thistle and Autogenic Toxicity, and you'll never use it again. Then again, you can test it and find out, how did he know? How did he know? Well, I've worked with it for years. Anyway, I'll shut up. It's the end of the show.
Yeah, Roger. I love having you on. You are just so much fun. The chat room loves you, and we'll talk, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Roger. That's Roger Bezanis, his website, rogerbezanis.com, his book, Diagnostic Face Reading, and we'll be back with Gene McClellan after these words from our sponsors.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.